In the midst of our process, we definitely saw the SPAC market get ice cold. And so we anticipated high redemptions, and we structured a deal so that we knew we could get public.
This is a story about how a kid started out with sharing his angry emails on Nike on the internet, which eventually led to him inventing a popular social media quiz app, which then led to him building that app into a company worth nearly $1 billion in valuation, only to lose 93% of its worth. Yes, I'm talking about BuzzFeed. Remember when it was the shiny new toy of the digital media world, churning out listicles and quizzes that we just couldn't resist? From its humble origins to ambitious journalism endeavors, BuzzFeed now faces financial struggles and a shift towards AI-generated content, which I think most people thought they were using back in 2010 based on the overall quality of their work. Today, we're going to dive into how BuzzFeed rose to being such a well-known brand to now desperately clinging to a life raft in the ever-evolving landscape of the digital media world.
Hey, maybe the push rod failed.
Let's start off with BuzzFeed's beginnings. It all started in 2001 when Jonah Peretti, a graduate student at MIT, found himself in a heated email exchange with Nike over customized ID shoes. In a rare case of how procrastination can sometimes lead to greatness, he posted the exchange online and it went viral, which then put Peretti in contact with Arianna Huffington. By 2006, Peretti was working at the Huffington Post and decided to dabble in a side project called BuzzFeed Laboratories. And just like that, the viral content machine was born. 2 years later, BuzzFeed raised a cool $3.5 million through Hearst Ventures and SoftBank. By 2012, BuzzFeed was making acquisitions like Kingfish Labs, a third-party tool which optimized Facebook ads. Next, BuzzFeed, along with this new acquisition, went and raised an impressive $19 million in a funding round and reportedly became profitable. From there, BuzzFeed's meteoric rise continued. By 2014, 75% of its views came from social media outlets, and NBC Universal invested $200 million 1 year later. By 2016, they were large enough that they separated into BuzzFeed News and BuzzFeed Entertainment Group, which the latter included a motion picture division, which almost exclusively posted content direct to YouTube, including YouTube Red, which was a predecessor to YouTube Premium. By 2020, Peretti came full circle with his journalism career, acquiring the Huffington Post, the publication in which he helped establish nearly 2 decades earlier, and BuzzFeed was flying high with its content being devoured by millions worldwide. But as quickly as one can find a loophole in social media to exploit for clicks and views, small changes in the algorithm can quickly erode that same niche advantage. BuzzFeed became largely known for clever and relatable content, from their viral meme of Disaster Girl to If Disney Princes Were Real, and who can forget their The Only Bra Hack Men Will Ever Need YouTube video that went viral, and of course, another video that garnered over 68 million views on Facebook was called If Cats Told You What They Were Thinking.
Wrong. Can you please just... Okay, stop. Why are you so bad at this?
I don't know what she's thinking with the dry food. I know, it's crazy. I mean, okay, I like dry food, but I'm not gonna just go for dry food every day. No, yes, exactly, it's ridiculous. It's just, it's her, shut up. Hey, what's up?
And then we had BuzzFeed's quizzes, such as, tell us about what you look for in a soulmate and we'll guess your type, which became a hallmark of the site's content shared widely all over social media. Somewhere in the mid-2010s, the company decided it wanted a seat at the grown-ups table and began venturing into serious journalism, creating BuzzFeed News, which sought to distinguish itself from its more lighthearted sibling by focusing in on in-depth reporting and breaking news stories. They even brought on Politico's Ben Smith in the process. Algorithms, viral rank, sure, those tools helped BuzzFeed gain traction, but BuzzFeed News relied on the good old-fashioned hard work of its staff, reporters, and contributors to make its mark. But the question quickly became, how would BuzzFeed News stand out? Its reporters tackled a range of important issues, from sexual harassment in Hollywood to the rise of white nationalism in the US, and were praised for their investigative work. Notable stories included its coverage of the Trump-Russia investigation, Obama's personal deal with Iran, and the hashtag #MeToo movement. BuzzFeed News also made waves by publishing the so-called Steele dossier, which detailed allegations of Russian interference in the 2016 US presidential election. At the time, the influence BuzzFeed News had on the media landscape was significant, with other news outlets often picking up on its stories and following its lead in coverage. Let's take a closer look at what sent BuzzFeed News spiraling down the toilet. First and foremost, BuzzFeed News found itself in the unenviable position of being overdependent on big platforms like Facebook and Google for distribution and ad revenue. When these tech giants sneezed, BuzzFeed News caught the cold, and it wasn't pretty. As the platform evolved, BuzzFeed CEO Peretti lamented the fact that Facebook and Google gobbled up most of the ad revenue, leaving high-quality content creators struggling to make ends meet.
I think the big question with Facebook is most of Facebook's revenue is in newsfeed, and that's where they've not shared revenue.
The company was forced to lay off employees, shut down its podcast department, and even slash salaries during the COVID-19 pandemic. BuzzFeed also had to contend with the harsh reality that turning a profit in the digital media landscape is about as easy as catching a greased pig, as evidenced by the fact that the company had layoffs every year from 2017 through 2020. In an attempt to secure further capital, in June 2021, BuzzFeed announced its plans to waltz onto the stock market stage via a special purpose acquisition company, also known as a SPAC, hoping to generate the kind of buzz only an ambitious media company could dream of. BuzzFeed's foray into the public market included the acquisition of Complex Networks, a media company known for popular franchises like Hot Ones. The company aimed to raise $250 million, but alas, BuzzFeed only managed to scrape together $16 million after many shareholders decided they had better things to do than participate in the merger. Undeterred, BuzzFeed CEO Peretti said in an interview, "I don't care how we go public. Once we saw that we had our path through the market, even though the market was cold, it was just a means to an end to get public." And so on December 6, 2021, BuzzFeed began trading on the NASDAQ. But instead of fireworks and confetti, the stock price took a nosedive, leaving employees and investors staring at their screens with a mix of disbelief and despair. Not long after, nearly 80 employees accused BuzzFeed of botching its stock market debut and denying them the opportunity to sell their shares at a higher price. They then demanded $8.7 million in compensatory damages. And like a gold mining exploration company who announced they were getting into lithium in 2022, BuzzFeed then decided that it may be time to change gears. And just like that, they decided to jump on the AI bandwagon, partnering with ChatGPT/OpenAI in January of 2023. At the time, this love child of technology and content creation was hailed as a milestone, transforming the way media companies incorporate AI into their businesses. BuzzFeed CEO Peretti assured in a memo that they can expect that AI-inspired content would soon move from an R&D stage to part of our core business. And then in May, TikTok announced partnerships with BuzzFeed and other media companies, highlighting the growing trend of collaboration between tech giants and media moguls. The question remains, and now we're all left to see, if AI-generated content can actually take on a mainstream audience, or if this whole thing is just another plot twist in the ongoing saga of a company spinning its wheels in a high-interest rate environment where free money is no longer free. Fast forward to May 2023, and BuzzFeed stock has plummeted 93% since its debut, trading as low as 51 cents per share. With a market valuation of about $81 million, the company now teeters on the edge of being delisted from the NASDAQ. BuzzFeed News swan song came on April 20th, 2023, when Peretti broke the news that BuzzFeed News would close its digital doors. It was a somber day as 180 employees, or 15% of BuzzFeed's workforce, lost their jobs. Peretti admitted that the company could no longer afford to keep BuzzFeed News afloat as a standalone organization. He suggested that the Huffington Post might come to the rescue for some staff who could potentially find roles with the digital news site acquired by BuzzFeed in 2020. In the future, he said BuzzFeed will have a single news brand in Huffington Post, which is profitable and has a loyal direct front page audience. Peretti says he regrets that he did not hold the company to higher profitability standards, which might have saved them from this unfortunate situation. But I mean, who can blame them for taking the money when it was there, which was basically given to them on the back of their ambitious plans? And also, who knows if BuzzFeed would be in a tangibly better position today if they never took their shot? Of course, BuzzFeed isn't the only one feeling the pinch. Insider, Adweek, Vox Media, Fandom, NBC News, MSNBC, The Washington Post, and Vice Media are all facing major layoffs, with nearly every major news, media, and technology company announcing cuts. It's turned into a never-ending game of musical chairs where everyone is scrambling to find a seat.
I think one of the challenges that every media company faces is that the world changes and you have to change along with the world.
In the grand scheme of things, BuzzFeed's tale serves as a similar one to many companies that grew during the zero interest rate environment from the mid-2010s up until recently, where any combination of audience, users, and top-line revenue were all you needed to raise money without investors stressing about little things like, will this business ever actually make money and stand on its own feet? Perhaps calling the company BuzzFeed News wasn't such a great idea either. I mean, who wants to hear about the debt ceiling negotiations from a company known for asking you what type of potato you are? So, as we bid adieu to the BuzzFeed we once knew, let's raise a toast to the brave pioneers who dared to ask the tough questions. Like, for example, which one of Harry Styles' nipples are you? Which I took the quiz and I'm happy to say I am the top right nipple. Whatever that means. All right, everybody, thank you for watching. If you could do me a big favor, please hit that like button, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Let me know what you think in the comment section. I love you all.